In this world of technology, things are ever changing, rearranging. You need someone to help you out. I know someone who can. Come and take a journey with me as we go through the land of technology. You'll never be alone. You'll be with Paul Amadeus Lane in the Tech Zone.
Hello and welcome back to the Tech Zone. I am Paul Amadeus Lane. Thank you so much for tuning in. And I'm wishing you and your family well during COVID-19. This pandemic that we're all going through and it's infecting all of our life. Whether if we're in this country or in other countries, we wish you well too. When it comes to this pandemic, it has definitely touched the economy in ways that we had no idea that we'll be facing right now. So how does technology and the economy and different industries out there, how do they have this symbiotic relationship, and how does one affect the other, and how does one assist the other? Well, I'm so happy to have one of the brightest minds in the world when it comes to technology and the economy join me. And I'm so happy to have with me right now a person I've known for several years, New York Times best-selling author, Shawn DuBravac. Shawn, how are you, my friend?
Wonderful, Paul. Good to hear from you. Good to see you.
Hey, great to see you too, my friend. Under the circumstances, COVID-19 does not prevent us from chatting it up and talking about the economy and the tech world. And Shawn, how have you been dealing with the COVID-19 and continuing to help spread the word when it comes to what's going on in the economy as well as the tech world?
Well, obviously, like most of the country and most of the world, I'm at home, working from home, and trying to keep social distancing so that we can move through this as quickly as possible. As you noted, it clearly hit the economy very hard, and certain sectors of the economy extremely hard. If you're in the hospitality arena, hotels, restaurants, anything around going out and being around other people is a part of the economy that's suffering right now. That's spilling over into other parts of the economy as well. So the hope is that as we move through this, we can try to do so quickly and get back to, if you will, life as we knew it, where we were out with friends and enjoying many of the services that we have available to us.
And Shawn, I remember it was several years ago now. I remember we were all at CES waiting for you to get up and give us our state of the economy and see how things were going. And I remember you stood next to an easel that had, instead of CEA, it had CTA. And you went on to talk about how technology is everywhere now and just not in electronics. That really lit a fire in my brain, because right now, Shawn, are we seeing a symbiotic relationship when it comes to the tech world and all other forms of industry out there, that without technology, these companies will not be able to exist and navigate through what we're going through with COVID-19?
I mean, we've seen, to your point, Paul, the use of technology in ways that we would have never foreseen just a decade ago. If you were to flash back 20 years ago, we were getting most of our news from the radio, and we were getting it from the television. And then what was happening now is we're creating these massive networks where we're able to connect with people minute by minute, understanding where they're at, what they're doing. It's allowed many organizations, obviously, to operate at near full capacity from remote locations, something that really wouldn't have been possible even just a couple of years ago. Technologies like Zoom and other conference calling technologies, obviously, which have been around, and in the tech circle, we've been talking about them for decades, really. They've now moved into every segment of the economy. I mean, you've got teachers that are doing remote learning classes. You've got happy hours. You've got weddings. All of these social gatherings are now happening in the virtual space. So we've seen a lot of things happen in just the last few weeks that have been building now for decades.
Yeah, and so thankful that we have that, because we're able to stay in contact with our loved ones when it comes to social distancing. And Sean, when we look at the economy now, we look at some of the things that were hit hard. You talked about the hospitality economy, the automotive economy out there. Because those areas are being hit with the economy, will we see a ripple effect when it comes to the tech companies that supply different innovations out there to these different industries?
We've already started to see that ripple effect, and it just shows the interconnectedness that exists not only across countries but also across industries. So there has definitely been a ripple effect. While the hospitality sector has been hardest hit, they aren't the only one being hit, and you are seeing it impact really every sector and every industry in some way. As you noted, as technology has become more integrated into all of these technologies, every aspect of the tech industry feels it. So while some areas of the tech industry are probably rising to the occasion and being able to provide services into these new markets, if you will, there are clearly a number of tech industries and tech segments that are hurting it. As you noted, the auto industry saw dismal numbers in March, and so that hurts not just those making new vehicles, but it impacts everybody up the supply chain. It ends up impacting the electronics manufacturers that are supplying into those markets, and so it really ends up impacting all of us.
And Sean, when you wrote Digital Destiny, almost 5 years. Wow. And
Yeah.
I know you were working on it many years even before it came out.
Yeah.
But the way you talked about certain things about how the new age of data will transform the way we look, the way we live, the way we communicate. Sean, we're actually living through that more today than we were yesterday. And thinking back on what you were able to put in the book, it seemed like you channeled your inner Jedi, man, because you foresaw the future.
Well, I mean, to your point, first of all, thank you very much. I appreciate those very kind words. And a lot of it is just putting together the pieces that we see around us and how those will come together and how those will play out. So I think you're exactly right that we started to see the way we're living today was already coming together over the last decade or two. Obviously, first was the growth of digital devices. The second was connecting those devices in new ways, increasing the capabilities of those connections. And then now we're having a real live, real world, real time test of some of these technologies to see how they operate. And I think one of the things we'll see coming out of this is that, well, I think we'll go back in many ways to the way we were living prior to this large outbreak. There will be some aspects of it that we will probably keep and retain. And that's what we tend to see from any of these large global events, is that there are certain things that we will carry forward with us. And so we'll see those materialize in the coming months and coming years as well.
And Sean, when we look at some of the stop measures that the government has put in place with the 500 billion into the Federal Reserves, what is that going to do for the economy? How long can we, if things keep going the way that they are, how long will that last? Or do you think we need another infusion of cash just to keep things going?
Obviously, the Federal Reserve is using a number of tools, and many of the tools that they're implementing are tools that they didn't use early on in the last downturn during the 2007-2009 period. So these are tools that they really didn't start to implement until the 8th or 9th or 10th month of that downturn. They were completely new tools and new techniques at that time. So when we saw the coronavirus outbreak start to spread globally and we saw restrictive measures put in place here in the United States, the Federal Reserve was actually very quick to respond. They dusted off that old playbook and started to implement significant quantitative easing. They implemented liquidity into the marketplace to help provide a smooth functioning of many of these financial markets. Also, as you noted, you saw Congress react with stimulus measures to try to get money into the hands of consumers. What's interesting is we were on pretty good footing before we went into this downturn. In many ways, this is the first self-imposed recession we've ever lived in. And so it'll be interesting to see what we look like coming out of this, because we've never really had a recession that we forced on ourselves like we did now. The consumers still look generally optimistic. Yes, consumer sentiment over the last month declined significantly, but it's still at a relatively high level. A lot of what is holding back spending is the measures that we put into place to help resolve this outbreak. So social distancing is keeping us out of stores, restaurants, hotels, keeping us away from traveling. As some of those measures are lifted, I think there's a good possibility by the back half of this year that we'll be back out, and we'll be looking and longing to be back out at restaurants. We'll be looking to travel. There's just so much uncertainty right now. It keeps people hesitant to make some of those longer term plans. But I do think that we'll start to come back. It will take some time. Obviously, there's been a lot of economic damage that's taken place, and it'll take some time to recover from that. But I think we'll start to see the early shoots of life coming back in the third quarter probably of this year and into the fourth quarter as we move into the back half of this year and as we approach the holiday season.
And Sean, I echo your sentiment. I'm looking forward to going back to my favorite steakhouse and get my favorite dry aged ribeye, because it just doesn't taste the same when I got to pick it up and bring it home and have to warm it up. So I kind of like it when I eat it there. So I definitely understand how you feel, my friend. And just one question I wanted to ask you too: was there anything that we could have done to prepare ourselves for a self-imposed recession or a pandemic like this? Did we just maybe started just to believe the hype that something like this could never happen with the pandemic worldwide? What happened, Sean? Maybe you can share your insight, please.
Well, there's certainly experts that foresaw the potential for a global pandemic and suggested preparing the medical necessities that we would need, have those in place. I think those will be the tools that we do put in place and that we keep fresh as we move forward in the future. We hope that these pandemics are very infrequent, but I do anticipate that countries around the world will prepare their medical stockpile to respond to these type of global pandemics in the future. And again, now we have a playbook for how to address a pandemic. It involves shutting down. It involves social distancing. And so I think you'll see that playbook dusted off should we see a global pandemic of this nature. I think those are the type of things that we'll become accustomed to. At the same time, I do think you'll start to see technology play an important role. As I noted, some industries have never had to move fully into the digital realm. Education, especially K through 12 education, being one of the key areas that's never really had to go and fully embrace digital technology. Sure, they were using it in certain ways, in limited ways, but they never needed to create a fully digital classroom. And now that they do, I think you'll see school districts across the country really think about how do we ensure that we're future-proofing ourselves? How do we ensure that we're ready in case any type of natural disaster forces us out of the classrooms? How do we continue the process of doing what we've always been doing? And so a lot of businesses are going to be thinking about how to be resilient in times of unexpected change as we move forward.
And Sean, we know that this pandemic is touching everyone throughout the world, every industry, healthcare industry. And when it comes to winning this battle, who do you think the hero would be in this battle, either tech-wise or just something out there? I know I threw a loaded question out there to you, my friend, but who do you think the hero is going to be to really get us out this, and after it's over, to put us on the trajectory to continue to make strides?
Yeah, so the hero in all of this is the person who is, ironically, doing very little, right? It's the person who is opting to stay at home and not go into public environments, or going as little as possible into public environments. And that's the same person who will help lift the economy as we come out the other end of this. So it's the individual who is fighting this unseen battle, and they're the same ones that will be the ones that come back to the movie theaters. They'll go back to the the stores and the restaurants and the hotels. They'll be the ones looking at new tech purchases. They'll be the ones that drive us forward.
I love it. I love it, Shawn. Thank you so much. I know you're a very busy person, even though you're not traveling like you normally do throughout the world. You're staying at home, but you're still busy as such, helping spreading the word. And we really appreciate all that you put out, all the knowledge you put out, so that we can really navigate through this time. And I'm so happy that you were able to come on with me, and I'm so happy to be able to call you one of my friends. And Shawn, you stay safe, my friend. And is there anything else out there you'd like to articulate to the viewer or the listener out there, just about the economy or anything else?
I would just tell everyone, stay happy, stay healthy, and we will come through this together.
Shawn, great words to live by. And I'm looking forward to seeing you in January at our favorite place, being able to see each other in person. Looking forward to that, my friend.
Me too, Paul. I'll see you at CES.
Take care. Great insight from Shawn DuBravac, one of the brightest minds when it comes to the economy. Shawn knows his stuff, and I'm so honored to have him on the show and have known him for over a decade, and just a great person. Make sure that you keep up with some of his articles that he's been in, and then grab his book too, New York Times bestseller. Make sure you check that out as well. All right, well, it's time for us to get out of here. Please stay safe, and on our next show, we're going to continue to talk about technology, COVID-19, and how we can all navigate our way through this together. Stay well, and please be safe.
In this world of technology, things are ever changing, rearranging. You need someone to help you out. I know someone who can. Come and take a journey with me as we go through the land of technology. You'll never be alone. You'll be with Paul, Amadeus, Lane in the tech zone.